Welcome to the deep dive.
Sure.
Today, we're not just summarizing research, not at all.
This is something else entirely.
We're tearing open a story that, it feels like it's been ripped straight from a blockbuster screenplay.
Absolutely.
We're diving into some incredible source material that details the journey of a writer named Robin. And she finds herself caught between, on one hand, this lifelong dream coming true, and on the other, a genuinely unsettling supernatural mystery.
It's an incredible mix.
This deep dive is really about that moment a fan meets her idol and how that single interaction, it just triggers a collision of worlds.
A collision that's far more profound and, certainly much stranger than any novel either of them could have possibly written.
That's it. Exactly.
And that's really the core of it. We're looking at this narrative, which was structured so skillfully by the writer, Swapnil, and we're treating it almost like a high-stakes investigation into destiny. Our mission here, for you, is to extract those intense emotional currents that Robin is experiencing. We're going to track her dramatic arc from, pure, exhilarating fangirl shock.
Which is so relatable.
Totally. And we follow her through these rising tides of just chilling dread, and then ultimately toward what feels like an almost predetermined, powerful sense of purpose.
It's an analysis of mentorship, of legacy, and how the unexplained forces in the universe sometimes just conspire to push a writer towards something great.
Towards greatness, yeah.
And for you, the learner, this story is so immediately relevant. It tackles that fundamental question of, professional life.
Mm-hmm.
How do you react when a monumental opportunity just slams into you?
Right. And it's often cloaked in discomfort, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Robin had to navigate this intense professional anxiety, working with this genius-level creative team, and then on top of all that, literal supernatural phenomena surrounding her hero, Kevin Edgerton.
It's the ultimate example of information overload meeting fate. You couldn't make it up.
You really couldn't.
It forces us to ask, what's the cost of entry into the literary elite? It's not just about talent. Sometimes, it turned out, it's about navigating a ghost story.
A literal ghost story. So we're going to analyze how Swapnil, the writer, deliberately escalates these stakes. We move from the highly relatable chaos of a mall to the really unsettling, isolated world of a ghost cab ride. And it ensures that every single piece of knowledge Robin gains is just. It's hard-won. It's emotionally significant.
Yeah, she earns every bit of it.
So let's start at the beginning. Let's ground ourselves in Robin's life, as it's all detailed in the first chapter of this narrative. Meet. Okay, so let's unpack Robin's world. The sources establish her right away as a writer, a content creator, but it's more than a job. She uses her craft not just for enjoyment, but as a mechanism for survival.
That's a great way to put it. The sources say she finds solace when things felt chaotic.
Which is such a powerful starting point. Writing is her method for imposing order on what is, a fundamentally messy universe. It's her anchor.
Yeah, and we get this marvelous, really detailed look into her interior world through the description of her library.
Oh, I love this part.
It's not this pristine modern collection, right? It's described as a patchwork of tattered covers and dog-eared pages.
It shows use, deep, intense use.
Exactly. This tells you she isn't just narrowly focused on one thing. She's studying mysteries to understand plot, romances to get a grasp on emotional dynamics, and then philosophy to, delve into the grand questions of humanity.
So her writing is a synthesis. It's a combination of all these worn, loved perspectives.
And that intense, varied curiosity is precisely what Kevin Edgerton is going to recognize in her later. He sees that depth immediately.
Right. And sort of looming over this entire world of her aspiration is her undisputed idol, Kevin Edgerton.
The giant.
The sources establish him not just as some successful author, but as a truly foundational figure for her. His book, The Whispering Shadows, it didn't just entertain her. It literally taught her how narrative structure works.
It's her textbook.
It was. And The Midnight Hour is described as being, foundational to her own storytelling journey. To her, he represents the absolute pinnacle of literary brilliance that she is striving for.
So with that intense internal reverence she has for him, the setting for their meeting had to be chaotic.
Yeah.
It had to be something that would shock her back into reality.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't be an organized book signing or, a planned meeting at a conference. It's a bustling, frantic mall.
She's completely preoccupied. Her mind is racing with these fragments of the story she's trying to organize.
Which is such a writerly trait, isn't it? Being so lost in your own work that the external world just kind of fades away.
It perfectly sets up the literal crash that follows.
The crash, yeah.
She's distracted, she's fully immersed in her thoughts, and that internal narrative just suddenly slams into external reality with what the source calls the soft crash of a juice carton.
It's such a perfectly orchestrated moment of fate. She bumps into someone, liquid goes everywhere, and suddenly the anonymous man she's apologizing to is the one person on Earth she never expected to see.
And that collision forces this spectacular fangirl reaction, which is so wonderfully detailed in the sources.
I know, it was vivid.
Robin's voice just rises, words are tumbling out in this embarrassing rush. Oh my God, you're Kevin Edgerton.
Her face is flushing crimson. You can just picture it. We, the audience, we can immediately relate to that moment of intense vulnerability and adoration.
Standing there holding a ruined juice box.
Exactly. In front of the person who basically defined your entire artistic path. It's mortifying and amazing all at once.
But Kevin, being the consummate professional celebrity, he handles it beautifully. He doesn't dismiss her at all.
No, he doesn't.
He lets his sharp blue eyes twinkling convey this sense of amusement and warmth.
And that single moment of graciousness,
Right.
it immediately shifts the power dynamic. It goes from total idolization to something.
Mm-hmm.
Something potentially equal.
Yeah, and the transition from fan to peer is where Robin really earns her place. She manages to gather herself to transition away from that purely emotional response.
She offers this hesitant introduction. Oh, I'm a writer. Well, more of content creator, I guess.
And that, I guess, is so telling, isn't it? It shows her immediate, ingrained imposter syndrome, even when she's talking to her hero.
But Kevin doesn't let her defer. He validates her position by challenging it professionally. He says, a writer, huh? Should I be worried about my job security?
Which is not just a friendly greeting. He's testing her. He's testing her confidence, measuring her ambition.
And Robin, even in that state of complete shock, rises to the challenge with wit. That response.
Oh, definitely. I'm planning to overthrow you and claim the literary throne.
That is the single most important line in this whole initial exchange.
It has to be.
It signals that she has the drive and, the audacity necessary to compete in his world. It shifts the entire conversation from just fan worship to mutual professional respect.
Let's pivot to the item that really anchors this entire narrative. The diary.
It's diary.
This is where the chance encounter becomes intentional. Robin calls it her secret stash of literary gold. But then she immediately dismisses it defensively as just rejected grocery lists when Kevin asks about it. She's protecting her vulnerability.
She is, but Kevin sees right past the dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
When he takes the diary, the atmosphere just fundamentally changes.
It does.
The sources highlight that his fingers lingered over the words, and his expression becomes deeper, more reflective. He's not just reading her scribbles, he's essentially reading her soul.
And he moves from idol to active mentor in that exact moment. He offers this incredibly potent, genuine affirmation. These are really good. You've got something special here.
For any aspiring creator, hearing those words from your hero, that's transformative.
It's everything. It's the permission slip you need to take yourself seriously, and it becomes the true catalyst for the rest of the story.
And this is where Swapnil, the writer of our source, starts weaving these threads of destiny right into the immediate plot.
Mm-hmm.
Almost right after that affirmation, Robin asks about the sequel to his famous work, When the Stars Align.
Yeah.
She's just expecting, a routine publishing answer.
Great. It's coming out next fall or something.
Exactly. But Kevin's response is so heavy and abstract. He says, if only things were as simple as the stories we write. Sometimes the stars don't align so easily.
That is profound foreshadowing. We really need to pause here because that comment, the stars don't align, that's the central thematic anchor for this entire narrative.
Oh, really is?
On the surface, it just implies writer's block or maybe some industry frustration. But given what we find out later, the reveal about his deceased son and the tragedy that's haunting him, that comment takes on this monumental personal weight.
He's not talking about the book.
No, he's hinting at the lack of alignment and closure in his own life, which is driven by this immense loss. Robin, just by asking about the stars, has inadvertently hit upon the very cosmic imbalance that he is trying to cope with.
That completely reframes his motivation for everything that comes next. He's not just looking for a talented writer to help him with a book.
No.
He's looking for someone who can help him reconcile the concept of fate, a theme that has clearly been shattered by his own personal experience.
And then he gives her the tool to enter that world. He slips his business card between the diary pages.
It's a silent, professional contract. It just cements their connection right there.
His final words are this intense directive. He says, keep writing, even when the world tries to silence you, your voice matters.
Hmm.
It's an immediate ethical push to get her to utilize this new validation she just received. And Robin leaves with this charged mixture of euphoria and, as the source says, unease.
And that unease is so important.
It is.
It's that slight tremor before the earthquake. Is her intuition telling her that her future path isn't going to be straight or easy or even, strictly logical? She's been invited into a story that is far, far larger than the one she was writing in her diary.
The pace just accelerates instantly in the second chapter, Greet. The sources show Kevin's decisive nature. I mean, within 5 minutes of meeting her, he was apparently convinced that Robin had the potential to become a sensation.
He saw the spark. And that immediate, intense confidence in her talent is what sparks the idea for the sequel, a project that, was likely stalled before she literally crashed into his life.
So Robin isn't hired for busy work. She is the creative jolt he needed.
Exactly. And this realization leads to the invitation, which arrives via an unknown number. That's a quick shift from the chaos of the mall to this upper echelon secrecy.
His assistant calls and asks her to come to his secluded island mansion. And that blend of dread and curiosity the source describes, it just perfectly sums up Robin's mental state.
Yeah, the dread of the unknown professional challenge mixed with the intense curiosity of getting to access a legend's inner world.
And before she fully enters that new, fantastical world, Swapnil gives us this crucial grounding mechanism. Her family.
Her parents. This is such a great scene.
It's a wonderful, lighthearted contrast. Her parents mistaking Kevin Edgerton for a company.
Is that a startup?
Is that a startup? And they're focusing on the little juice box jokes. It's essential.
It is, and here's why it's so important. It emphasizes the monumental scale jump that Robin is making. Her parents represent normalcy, right?
Yeah.
Relatability, low stakes.
Mm-hmm.
Robin is moving from their stable, logical reality into this high stakes, glamorous, and as we've seen find out, supernatural environment. It highlights the profound isolation of Kevin's success, which is necessary for the ghost story to land later on.
That's a great point. So Robin begins working remotely, researching topics, and she's immediately swept up in what's described as the collective energy of Kevin's elite team.
But the anxiety sets in fast. It's the classic imposter syndrome. She's worrying, could she hold her own? Or would she end up fading into the background?
I mean, she's surrounded by creative giants.
Yeah, and we really should spend some time dissecting these giants because they represent the different facets of professional literary success. Robin is trying to find where she fits among them.
Good idea.
These characters are more than just names. They are archetypes of the collaborative creative process.
Okay, so let's start with Lena, the detail-oriented editor. She's described as meticulous, introverted. She's the gatekeeper of quality, with a sharp eye for grammar.
So Lena represents technical perfection and structural integrity. Getting her approval is like the highest professional hurdle you can clear.
Right. Then you've got Marco, the plot architect.
The foundation, the tenured veteran, he's been there for over a decade. He balances this brilliance with humor, structuring the narratives while keeping the mood light.
So he represents the established, time-tested wisdom of plotting and collaboration.
Exactly. If Marco laughs at your idea, you're probably doing something right.
And the practical expertise comes from Holly, the research specialist. Her role is vital for Kevin's style. She connects historical elements to the modern world, making the fantastic feel grounded.
She represents factual rigor, contextual depth.
And finally, there's Ethan, the marketing guru.
Ethan. He has this almost prescient ability to understand trends.
Which is a superpower in itself.
It is. Ethan represents the commercial reality. He's the one who can take this brilliant story and make sure it reaches the widest possible audience. So Robin is just surrounded by the masters of creation, structure, fact, and commerce. It's intimidating.
It's incredibly intimidating. And despite all this expertise, the team is stuck. The sources mention a growing dissatisfaction, and Kevin demands that they push boundaries.
And it's the newest, most hesitant member, Robin, who delivers the breakthrough concept.
And her idea perfectly mirrors the conversation she had with Kevin at the mall. She asks, what if we explore a world where the lines between fate and free will are constantly shifting?
It's an idea that's born directly from her interaction with his unresolved personal tragedy. She's speaking his language without even realizing it.
And the crucial moment of validation comes from Lena, the meticulous editor, who is not easily impressed. She says, I like that. A plot that tests the boundaries of destiny.
And when the gatekeeper of quality endorses your conceptual vision, that's it, you're in. She officially secures her legitimacy within the group. She's no longer just the newbie, she's the necessary creative element.
This success leads directly to the in-person meeting at that isolated island mansion.
And even getting there is part of the story. The description of the logistical difficulty of reaching the harbor, drivers who were unwilling to return empty-handed.
Yay!
It underscores the remoteness and the financial exclusivity of Kevin's world. This isn't just an office building. It's a fortress that's been removed from reality.
And the mansion itself is presented as a character. The dramatic arrival rising from the mist like something from a fairy tale.
Yeah.
It just emphasizes the mythical quality of Kevin Edgerton's life.
Robin sums it up perfectly. She says, "I feel like I'm stepping into a storybook."
The sources detail the staggering opulence, towering columns, soaring chandeliers, this fusion of history and impossible wealth, all passed down through the Edgerton generations. It's the ultimate setting for a grand literary mystery.
But the storybook very quickly turns gothic.
It really does. The tension is ratcheted up by the introduction of this ominous, ornate, locked door at the end of a dimly lit hallway.
It's a classic horror trope.
A total classic. And Swapnil immediately leverages it by incorporating the whispers of the maids. One says some say it's haunted, or another says that Mr. Edgerton keeps his most valuable treasures behind it.
Which confirms that secrets are literally woven into the fabric of the Edgerton family history.
They lose track of time. They're so absorbed in the creative flow until it's 11:30 p.m. and pouring rain. And then Robin has this very human moment. She realizes she missed her mom's birthday.
And this small human detail contrasts so sharply with the mansion's grandeur.
It does. And Kevin, demonstrating that complex moral character we talked about, immediately respects her priority. He says, "Family comes first, Robin, always."
And this moment of integrity, it's designed to solidify her trust in him. It makes the supernatural betrayal of her reality that's about to happen that much more shocking.
Okay, now for the pivotal exchange, the mysterious gift. Kevin hands her a large black bag.
And inside is a guitar. This physical artifact is the immediate link to the tragedy.
He reveals with this quiet solemnity that it belonged to his son who passed away 2 years prior.
This is the first official mention of his son and the tragedy that surrounds his death. The guitar isn't a random gift, it's a symbolic loan. It's a test.
And the joke that comes with it? Just be warned, if it starts playing by itself in the middle of the night, that's a feature, not a bug.
Chilling.
It's so heavy with dark implications. It implies that the son's presence might still linger, confirming that the mansion's whispers might not be just superstition after all.
So Robin boards the boat with the captain, Mr. Alfred, carrying this guitar and a mind that is just reeling from the scale of her professional success and the sudden chilling revelation of personal loss and, potential haunting.
Yeah, the chapter concludes with this understanding that the mysteries surrounding Kevin Edgerton have only begun to unravel.
It's the perfect setup for the descent into the truly terrifying.
The moment Robin gets into that cab, the shift is palpable. The chapter title, Retreat, feels so ironic because she's retreating from Kevin's mansion right into the heart of the mystery.
Oh, absolutely. The sources note that her excitement just evaporates. It's replaced by a cold, creeping dread.
The cab ride begins, but the interior itself feels, and I'm quoting here, more like a coffin than a vehicle.
That's some heavy foreshadowing. And the psychological terror is layered so well. The initial signs of trouble are subtle, but insidious. The technology fails first.
Her phone battery drains with impossible speed, despite being recently charged.
And that is an immediate modern anxiety, right? The loss of connection, the loss of access to reliable information. It perfectly precedes the physical breakdown of the car.
Then the cab sputters and halts. The road is empty, the fog rolls in, thick and suffocating, bathed in this eerie, pale glow from the streetlights.
The classic isolation mechanism is fully engaged. She's completely alone.
And Robin, being a writer, she recognizes the horror tropes she's living through. She even jokes about it to cope.
Yeah, she says something like, "Looks like we've stumbled into a real-life horror movie. Who wants to bet we'll find a creepy old mansion nearby?"
But the tension just completely overrides the humor because the silence is too deep. The location is too perfect.
The ultimate confirmation of the trope arrives when the cab halts for good. She checks her location on her dying phone.
And they are stuck right next to a cemetery.
Of all the places on that isolated coastal road, fate, or some unseen force, has parked her next to a graveyard. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and dread.
The driver leaves to check the engine, promises a replacement cab is on the way, but that fragile sense of security just shatters when she realizes he's gone.
Vanished. The door is wide open, a silent invitation to panic. The sources capture the suffocating silence she experiences right before she tries to seek help.
And her attempt to call cab support is her last link to reality. Just as the operator is assuring her that help is coming, the call abruptly disconnected.
So now she is completely isolated, fighting this rising wave of panic by locking the doors and relying on, learned self-defense tactics. She's watching the shadows flicker outside, recognizing that she is the protagonist in a scenario where all of reality has failed her.
After what feels like an unbearable eternity, the new cab arrives. It provides this shaky, nervous relief. She manages a desperate, nervous joke with the new driver, a final attempt to stabilize her emotional state.
And she rushes home, understandably, and just dismisses the entire ordeal to her worried parents who are already anxious about her being so late. She just prioritizes sleep. She desperately needs to believe that this terrifying experience was just a random, awful breakdown.
But the nightmare is far from over.
Not even close.
The reality-breaking climax arrives in the middle of the night, a late-night official call from the cab support team. They confirm she arrived safely, but then their tone shifts when they ask for the number of the first cab.
And the shock is just compounded by the operator's calm, administrative tone. The terrifying reveal is delivered so clinically.
They say, that cab, it's registered under the name of a deceased person, someone who died 2 years ago, right where you were picked up.
And that's the moment. That is the moment where the story shifts definitively from a thriller to a full-blown supernatural mystery.
The cab belonged to a ghost, and the date of death 2 years ago immediately links it to Kevin's son.
But then comes the final, authoritative statement from the company, the knockout punch.
Ma'am, the records show that cab has been out of service for over a year.
So she wasn't just in an old cab. She was in a vehicle that had been retired, decommissioned, a vehicle that was physically impossible to be on the road.
Her blood ran cold. The realization that she had been driven by some kind of spectral intervention.
And if that isn't enough to completely shatter your worldview, we get the absolute breach of physical reality.
The guitar.
The guitar. Robin realizes she left the guitar, the physical artifact tied to Kevin's son, in the ghost cab.
She turns on the lights in her room, and there it is, just sitting innocently on her desk.
The guitar, which was never with her in the second legitimate cab, is now present in her room, delivered by impossible means.
Her frantic interrogation of her father just confirms the impossibility. He denies bringing it in. The guitar's inexplicable appearance is the final piece of evidence that this entire sequence was dictated by a force beyond human comprehension.
Whatever entity guided that ghost cab, it had a specific purpose, and it ensured its symbolic gift was delivered right to Robin's room. She is no longer just writing about fate, she is living it.
So the morning after this impossible night, the tension is it's still palpable. Robin wakes up feeling heavy. Her mind is just scrambling to process the ghost cab, the impossible guitar.
And the summons she receives isn't from Kevin himself, but from an anonymous sender, requesting her presence at his residence at her earliest convenience.
The secrecy and the urgency just amplify all that emotional turmoil she's feeling.
So she returns to the mansion, and the atmosphere in Kevin's study it's thick with unspoken truths. The air seems to crackle.
Kevin is no longer the amused, twinkling idol from the mall. His expression is serious, even darker. He knows exactly why she's there and what she experienced.
And this is the dramatic climax. It's the direct confrontation that explains the supernatural. Kevin wastes no time. He confirms the cab company called him about the breakdown, and then he delivers the full, devastating confession.
The cab you were in, it belonged to my son.
And the emotional weight of that statement is just crushing. He confirms his son's death 2 years ago, linking the tragedy directly to the timing of the cab's impossible appearance.
He confirms the cab wasn't supposed to be in service. It was meant to be decommissioned.
Which tells Robin she wasn't a random passenger. She was chosen by the vehicle of a deceased man.
But the sadness in his voice is mixed with this profound conviction. Kevin looks directly at Robin and states his belief. I believe that cab chose you for a reason.
He links the traumatic, supernatural experience directly to her professional destiny. The ghost cab was a mechanism for spiritual selection.
He then expands on his son's legacy, and he draws this direct connection to Robin's own creative ambition. The son was a gifted entrepreneur, a passionate businessman who was driven by finding opportunity even in the most mundane aspects of life.
Which explains the company's ethos and his love for music. That clarifies the guitar's symbolic value.
And this is such a crucial detail.
Hmm.
The son didn't just own the company, he would sometimes drive just to learn more about the lives of the people he was helping.
So the ghost cab wasn't just a random tragedy. It was a vehicle that was driven by empathy and a desire for connection.
It emphasizes that the selection of Robin was purposeful. She, the writer who seeks solace in understanding the human condition, was the ideal person to inherit his vision.
And this leads to that powerful moment of symbolic inheritance. Kevin presents his son's worn business card. It's the physical artifact anchoring this entire impossible story.
It's the moment of transfer. It's the passing of the torch.
Yeah, and he explains the son's greater vision, which aligns perfectly with the destiny themes they are writing about in the new book. He says, it was about giving people a chance. Even in the darkest of nights, there's always a light that can guide you home.
The card isn't just a memento. It is the spiritual baton of that vision, and it's passed directly to Robin, confirming her role in the family's future, both professionally and spiritually.
And Robin's acceptance is profound. She pledges to honor the memory, her voice shaky but filled with gratitude. Kevin confirms his faith in her talent and her vision.
She leaves the mansion irrevocably changed. She's moved from being a writer who is just seeking solace to a writer who is now carrying a legacy, holding that card like a torch passed through time.
The brilliance of Swapnil's structure here, meet, greet, retreat, meet again, is fully realized in this moment.
It really is.
The final meet again isn't a reunion with her idol, it's a meeting with her destiny, and it's informed by her terrifying retreat.
She had to be isolated and scared to truly understand the weight of this opportunity and, the supernatural forces that were supporting it.
That journey forces Robin to transition from having an intellectual curiosity about fate, which was the topic of the sequel she pitched, to having an experiential, frightening understanding of it.
That's a great way to put it.
The supernatural element, the ghost cab. It isn't a cheap trick. It is the very mechanism that was used to force her personal transformation and solidify her professional calling. She is now literally walking that line between fate and free will. So to summarize this deeply impactful deep dive, we've analyzed how a chance meeting for Robin quickly turned into a rigorous professional mentorship, only to be unveiled as this profound, supernatural connection to Kevin Edgerton's hidden tragedy and the legacy of his deceased son.
The stars truly did align for Robin, but not through simple luck. It was through loss, a shocking mystery, and an improbable spectral intervention that guided her path. And what does this intense narrative, so expertly constructed by Swapnil's writing, mean for you? Well, Robin's story shows us that destiny often arrives cloaked in the most terrifying and uncomfortable circumstances. Your professional calling might not come via a polished email. It might come via a ghost cab breakdown in the middle of the night. The lesson here is about recognizing the deeper meaning in coincidence, especially in moments of great personal and professional upheaval.
Robin had the wit and the dedication to earn Kevin's respect, that's true. But as the tragic legacy of his son, the spirit of a young man who drove cabs just to understand people's lives, that pulled her into the exact story she was meant to write.
It's a powerful narrative about how our deepest artistic work often requires us to confront the deepest personal mysteries of those who came before us.
Well said.
And that leaves us with one final provocative thought for you to mull over, extending these threads of fate we've just unraveled. If the cab and the impossible occurrence of the guitar were tied to Kevin's deceased son, acting as a guiding force after Robin met Kevin, then what ultimate unseen force orchestrated the timing and location of Robin's initial meeting with Kevin at the mall? Was the whole event, from the juice carton crash onward, orchestrated by a destiny she is only just beginning to serve?
Something to think about.
Think about that next time you feel like you've just experienced a random, inconvenient accident.